tonight's show is absolutely gonna be fire. We got Lady Maat literally coming on very, very soon. Brothers and sisters, just do me a favor. Do me a favor, brothers and sisters, because we're bringing on Lady Maat very, very, very soon now. Brothers and sisters, if you was on last week's show, or if you, yeah, I'm saying if you was on last week's show and you heard Lady Maat speak, she hasn't spoken for a long time. If you was on that show last week and you felt the fire of Lady Maat, drop some ones. I want to see the platform. If you was on the show last week and you heard the bombs, the clarity of Lady Maat, jeez, that messed up the show for this week because I could not live safely, brothers and sisters, unless Lady Maat came back this week. I couldn't live. And so for my own health and my own security, Brother John, I had to bring Brother, Sister Lady Maat back, man. She was just dropping bombs, Brother John. And so it changed and in fact, one of our precious high queens, one of the galactic queens, all the way from America, Brother John, she spoke to me. She contacted, she said, Brother Andrew, I heard Lady Maat for myself. And I'm speaking of no other than Dr. Elaine Ferguson, who was literally bearing witness. Now, Sister Elaine, Lady Maat doesn't know what you said to me. She's about to come on right now, sister. Please share with us as a doctor, as a qualified MD, as an intergalactic being of reality. Please, doctor, what was your breakdown of Sister Maat?
Oh, greetings, family. Greetings, Brother Andrew and everyone, and Lady Maat in particular. Oh, my goodness. I don't have the words to fully express how the words of the sister penetrated me and they were so revelatory. It took my understanding of the world to another level. And it was so helpful and so powerful. I sent her the link to her lecture to everyone I know who would be open to listening to her message and that information, which is so powerful. And it was so impactful for me. As you know, Brother Andrew, I got the book. I ordered the book on the Tavistock Institute, and everyone needs to get the book to fully understand what the brother was talking about, what Brother Muhammad spoke about in that tape about how systematic racism is organized in these 5 sectors. The Tavistock Institute was right behind that. This is what they do. This is what they have done not only to us, but to the world in terms of manipulation and control and keeping us away from the truth of who and what we are. That is the real conspiracy. The conspiracy is not just about our skin tone and the beauty of who we are, but it is about keeping us away from our divinity and creating psychosis, mass psychosis. We're seeing it now, and mental health conditions to imprison us in this world. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Lady Maat. I can't wait to hear the rest. That's why I'm on today. I am so excited, and I will pass this on. And you know, I love you, Brother Andrew, and the family members on. You all have been such a blessing in so many ways in my life. And every time I come on, I have to thank you and honor your presence. You are such a gift. So thank you, and thank you, Lady Maat.
Brothers and sisters, that's Sister Dr. Elaine Ferguson tuning in all the way from Chicago. All the way from Chicago. Oh, Jurita's giving you a big wave there. Myself and Sister Dr. Elaine Ferguson, we're working on the next set of courses. So please, just be ready. Sister Elaine hasn't left us. Dr. Elaine hasn't left us. She's with us, as you see. She's in tune with what's happening. We have now in a situation now where Lady Maat is now getting ready to come on. Brothers and sisters, please, this is how it feels when you wake up to the truth for the first time. Lady Maat ripped the place up last week. Truth fears no lies. Truth fears no lies. And now, if you're ready, brothers and sisters, if you're ready for Lady Maat, put down in the chat room, Bumba. Yes, I said it, Bumba. If you're ready for Lady Maat, let me know. Put down Bumba. And that will tell me I can now introduce her. I can now say we are ready for part 2, Lady Maat. Bumba. Yes, yes, this is grassroots show tonight, brethren. Make sure you got your notebooks and pens ready tonight, brothers and sisters. Jeez. Sister Patricia says, how can we match last week? I don't know, Pat. I don't know where she's going with this. I have no idea. I have no idea. Sister Lady Maat, are you ready, our queen? Sister Lady Maat. Yes.
Evening, Brother Andrew. Evening,
That's it. Put it down. Come on. Brothers and sisters, Lady Maat is in the house. Make some noise. Show some love. Bumba. That's what we're going to say to you, sister. Bumba. Jeez. All yours, my queen.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Brother Andrew. Thank you very much, family. And thank you very much, Dr. Ferguson. Just that little bit you said there summed up everything that I spoke about last week, and it's probably summed up everything that I'm going to say this week. So it's lovely to have somebody who's got the words, who can make all that length into such a short soundbite, as they call it. So yes, we are going to go into part 2. And Brother Andrew, I think you might have to cut me at some point again today. So just let me know, just see if you can get a good closing point on that. So I'm going to share my screen if I can.
Yes, yes, yes. Brothers and sisters, make the phone calls now. Get onto your WhatsApp now. Let them know that Lady Maat is literally getting ready to go back into truth, fears, no lies. She's getting ready. So this is the time now. Get your notebooks and pens ready. The moment of insight, part 2, truth, fears, no lies. All yours, my queen.
Okay, thank you very much, Brother Andrew. So what I am going to do, brothers and sisters, for those who weren't here last week, or just to make it a smooth transition into the rest of the presentation, I'm going to go back a little bit and just give us the highlights, or what I thought were the highlights of the message from last week. But just to reflect on that, I'm just going to play this short clip from the Honourable Louis Farrakhan, because he talks about the power of truth and lies.
But when you're dealing with the wicked in the establishment of justice, in the book of Isaiah, it says, justice stands afar off and equity cannot enter, because truth is fallen in the streets. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, when truth fails to bring justice about, truth should always lead us to a just conclusion. But if the forces of evil are so strong that truth falls in the street and is not allowed to bring about justice, then the God of truth and the God of justice must physically remove from power the forces of injustice. And that time has arrived.
So family, what it was difficult for me to have to say last week, of course, we're living in an age where you can be wrong and strong. And it's how do we protect ourselves and our young people from that? So we started last week by reminding ourselves that the critical theorist ideology is primarily about the destruction of the family. Now, this includes the nuclear and our extended blood family. This includes religious families. This includes community families, and that includes our global community family as a people. But it also includes the family within, because remember, we have the family internally of our mind and body and spirit working together. And the aim is to get rid of the family and all our God or godlike figures that sustain us. And where God and truth is reaching out, as you can see in the Sistine Chapel ceiling, reaching out to man, we can see that our hand is limp and we're not reaching back. And that is really, whether Michelangelo was meaning that or not, it certainly is representative of where we are today. We then went on to look at these three great philosophers. And I say great because by Western ideology, they are great because they have shaped Western thought. Now listen carefully. They did not foresee the future, they foreplanned the future. And that's very important to where we are now. They were drawing only on logic, only on reason, and they rejected any possible value that we could find in nature or through the original man, which is us as the Black people. All of that has been rejected. And Plato sat at the feet of the great African scholars for 13 years. And yet the ideology that we have through the Tavistock Institute, through critical theory, is where we are. But Naim Akbar did say to us, in reality, ancient Kemetic psychology cannot be understood with Western methods. A full appreciation of ancient Kemetic psychology must be done with an African mind. So although Plato sat at the feet of the great African scholars for 13 years, he didn't understand what the whole message was behind that. And then we went on and we looked at the truth as they saw it through Dante's 9 Circles of Hell. We looked at Plato's cave, and of course the modern time matrix in which we are now. This silent and invisible war that is being put upon us. I then made reference to shock testing, and we looked at how shock testing from World War II planes was in use today. And we could see how COVID could be a possible shock testing, which has now meant we want to take a vaccination. We can see how global warming has been a shock testing. And for those of us who live in London, we see the impact of it through the Zuli zone that has come along. And the shock testing that has come about through Brexit. And we can see the impact of that with the lack of foods and goods and services. I mean, I don't know how many of you have been to Tesco or Sainsbury's later and see how many products are now no longer available. So these things we need to understand it all the time, because if we don't respond to the shock testing, then we are indirectly colluding with it to our own detriment. So we started to look at free will. I ended up looking at free will. Do we really have free will just because we're here on Hidden Truths tonight? And we looked at the brain and how the brain uses its past experiences to predict how it's going to respond in a situation it finds itself. I'm not talking about epigenetics here alone, but epigenetics is a part of this. But we know that we can nudge our brain into a new empowered future through the books we read and the people we have around us. So that is where we ended the session. So we're going to move on from there. So yes, somebody mentioned it last week, we have 3 memories because we have 3 brains. And so we looked briefly last week at the head brain, and the brain in our head has 86 billion neurons. And what are neurons? Neurons are information messengers which uses electrical impulses and chemical signals to send and transmit messages around our body. And our brain is a neural gateway which uses the past memory to predict its response. It makes decisions and actions before we are consciously aware of it. So we have to be deliberate of what we put into our mind. We then have the heart brain, what I call the spiritual body, 40,000 neurons there. And those neurons, they can sense, they can feel, they can learn, and they can remember. And it can make its own decisions. The heart can make its own decisions independent of the brain. And what the heart does have, it has a very strong magnetic field. And it's very important to know about magnetic fields, because magnetic fields, the power of them, can exert biological effects and changes on our cells and how the electricity runs through our body. So we need to be aware of that. An electromagnetic field that radiates from people's heart influences people who are nearby without us even really realizing it, because that magnetic field is 5,000 times, if not more, stronger than the magnetic field within the brain, and it contains its memories and our personal traits, and so it is sending feelings and emotions out from itself and can be picked up by others. So what does that tell us? Is that the emotional electromagnetic field that's being pulsated by somebody that we are not even aware of can have an impact on us. So we need to be strong and in tune with ourselves to protect ourselves from that. And then we have the gut memory. There's 500 million neurons there. And it also works independently of the head brain. It can learn, the gut can learn, and it can remember behaviors. It can determine moods. And we know that foods and drinks triggers within us times and locations and events. So that, even though we may think little of it, that is important, knowing that memory there. So we need to be careful on the foods that we're eating because it has an impact on that memory. But what is critical theory and society doing? They are looking at ways to claim all of our three brains because they want to determine truth, determine how we recognize truth, determine how we use truth, affecting our decisions and our feelings and our memories. And how do they do that? Through the brain, it is with information, media and education. Through our heart, it's through the way we have emotions and how we view relationships. And through our gut, it's about the foods that we eat. And we know that even if we're eating organic foods and vegetables, the nutritional value is so low and so weak within them. So how are we controlled? So critical theorists and their elite followers, their aim is to infiltrate our subconscious mind because they know that the subconscious mind only responds to suggestions and instructions, experiences we might have had from history or society or media or books or relationships, but it is all about the suggestions and instructions that it's put into our mind. But to be successful, the conscious mind needs to be put to sleep because it's the conscious mind that makes decisions to filter out or to let anybody in. But if our conscious mind is asleep, then anything can enter our subconscious mind. And how do we get past the subconscious mind? How do we put it to sleep? We do this through entertainment. So what we watch on the TV, we have it on demand now. We have music on demand now. We're preoccupied with Facebook or Instagram or Netflix. These can all be used to our benefit, but they can also be used to distract us. And when we look at young people and the amount of time they spend distracted by media and social things around them, we can see how the mind, the conscious mind, is being put to sleep. And I call these distractions white noise. It is a very subtle subliminal manipulation and coercion, a form of hypnosis, which is what the Matrix is all about. So, for example, I recently bought a brand new car, and the car comes with its own alarm. But I have now also got a subscription to an external alarm via Wi-Fi, so I can have it on my phone. I also purchased a steering lock to doubly protect this car because I don't want it to get stolen. My car is insured. I know my premiums go down if it's insured. I've paid for fully comprehensive cover. Then in my house, I have building insurance. I have content insurance. For myself, I've got critical illness insurance, death in service insurance, boiler insurance, all this insurance. But what I have not done, I have not got insurance for my mind. So my conscious and my subconscious is open to anybody or anything to get into it because I've not put any protection on the mind itself. And so I'm allowing myself to be infiltrated by social engineers. So we need to be mindful of the things that we do for the material goods we have and what we're doing for ourselves. So critical theorists and their elite followers, they know that advertising is the simplest form of economic engineering. And whereas Malcolm X describes the media, and I'm now going to say that includes all advertising, is he says the media is the most powerful entity on earth. They have the power to make the innocent guilty and to make the guilty innocent. They control the minds of the masses. And the critical theorists say that if a person is spoken to by a TV advertiser as if he were a 12-year-old, then due to suggestibility, he will, with a certain probability, respond or react to that suggestion with the uncritical response of a 12-year-old, and will reach into his economic reservoir and deliver its energy to buy the product on impulse when he passes it in the store. This is a quote from the critical theorists themselves.
Hey, fantastic, anyone? What does it taste like? Like fire and a little bit of electricity. Okay, my one tasted of craziness and all of like the things in the world, and it tastes amazing. I like this fizzy one the best. You got fantastic face. No, I haven't.
So brothers and sisters, that's quite a powerful advert because it sums up all of that right there, that 12-year-old mentality. So advertising, and it could be, we could be advertising for something that is an adult product, like a car or like alcohol or whatever it is, but the advertising keeps us in a childlike state because it is designed to appeal to our selfishness and our greed. So newspapers and education also promote this. So we know that the reading age of the son is 8 years old. And when we talk about the reading age, we're not just talking about the ability to read the words. We talk about our ability to comprehend and make sense of what is written there. The Sun was 38 million copies of it was sold last year. So that is reaching out to a wide a number of people. And then the Guardian is designed for the comprehension of a 14-year-old. So it's, like I said, it's our understanding of what's written there. So we could actually say, we know that the average reading age of the UK population is 9 years old. That's the average reading stroke comprehension age. So we could still say it is safe enough to hide things in written words if people cannot fully comprehend what is there. So when we write, we need to be making sure we're writing in such a way that we can understand the written word. So other systems of control include keeping people ignorant. Just thinking about the way we record in the COVID deaths at the moment, it's a sense of ignorance, death after a positive COVID test, but our ignorance has interpreted that as a death by COVID. We also, another way of keeping us in control is is preoccupation with work, preoccupation with entertainment. So we're not spending time on ourselves or for ourselves. Another form of control is to attack the family. So we might say, well, we're empowering women's rights and we're criminalizing men, or we're bringing homework into the home. But all of these things are attacking the very essence of family. Another form of control is having less cash and more credit. So we become enslaved to paying back. We have leases and phone contracts, and this constant having to pay back, it grows within us a silent anxiety. And another way of control is social conformity, so that we hear things over and over that we just accept it. We become desensitized to it. And so these methods of control have a significant impact on us. The preoccupation, which means which is time we cannot get back. And the relationships that if we don't build them when we can, we lose the opportunity to build them, and the money that we can never pay back. So it's engineered and designed beautifully to keep us entrapped in this way. So critical theorists and their elite followers understand that regarding our young people, the simplest method of gaining control of the young is to keep them in fear, to keep them undisciplined, to keep them in ignorance, to keep them confused, to keep them disorganized, to keep them distracted with matters of no real importance. And now in these times, to ensure they have a label that justifies them having or behaving in this way. So disengaging the minds of the youth and sabotaging their opportunities, critical theory now uses substandard education, because we know the education is not setting our young people free. They're not learning the maths or the logic or the economics that they need to make a difference in our society. So that's the dumbing of the mind. They are not, they're barraged with sex and violence in videos, and that is a rape of the mind. And then we give our young people what they think they desire in excess rather than what they need, and that's junk food for the mind. And our young people cannot be left to raise themselves, because this is the platform from which society is enforcing them to grow. And the critical theorists look at this quote: the general rule is that there is profit in confusion. The more confusion, the more profit. Therefore, the best approach is to create problems and then offer solutions. And that's the very foundation of critical theory. This is their words, and it is not my words. So the media keeps our attention away from the real social issues, and we are captivated by things that don't matter. Schools are not teaching real maths, real economics, real law, real history, so that our children can create and sustain themselves as adults. Entertainment is keeping us entertained at levels below that of even of a year 7 child at the level of comprehension. And then work just keeps us busy, busy, busy with no time to think. So critical theorists and the elite, they know that through education and ways of communication, that they would eventually cause us lower classes to aspire to the life that they have and to the life that they lead. And so what they do, they postpone this rise within us. They stop us from rising up by any means necessary, and they engineer continuously, and they continuously engineer a constant state of fear and anxiety. So the best we start doing is seeking and begging for consent and for rights, rather than taking what is rightfully ours. And it doesn't stop there, brothers and sisters. So sometime back when I started the work on critical theory, I talk about these two men, Bachofen and Otto Gross, and they talk about the great mother Astarte. And you can see the great mother Astarte there, that image there. And it's all about the way that we smother society, smother our children and give them everything that they want, so that they have that dependency. And the ideology of the critical theorists, they say that from the time a child leaves its mother's womb, its every effort is directed towards building, maintaining, and withdrawing into artificial wombs. That is the designation for our children. So it creates within our children a dependency on the great mother, and then they refuse to take responsibility for their own decisions. In fact, they can't even make decisions for themselves. And we know that today our youth are afraid to fail, so they put responsibility on labels. In fact, labels that we as educators give them: ASD, ODD, free school meals, PMD, the list goes on, and delegate decisions, and they allow others to delegate decisions, labels on them on their behalf. And I call this failing in style, because in schools we are not teaching resilience and preparation for life. And the elite are happy for politicians to be the artificial parents, and we are complicit in adopting these parents, and that is where we get the term the nanny state. I'd never really thought about the term nanny state, but as I was doing this piece of work and reading about critical theories, I see where the nanny state fits into all of this. So where does that leave our men and our boys if we're living in this nanny state, in this artificial matriarchy, where our men are emasculated at every level, and we as women, we turn to the state as our protector and our provider? Now, critical theorists recognizes the power of the family, whether that's a religious family, whether that's a nuclear family or an extended family, but they recognize the power of that. They know the power of true men or true manhood. And they need to keep men weak within society. And they have to ensure that our men are housebroken in that way, to ensure that Junior, or the son, will grow up with the right social training and attitudes. And this is their quote again. And so the first thing I did when I read this quote is go to the dictionary to find the definition of housebroken, because I want to know what is behind the thinking of the critical theorists when they meet and they have their conferences together. And the definition of to be housebroken in the dictionary is, as example, to train cats and dogs to urinate and defecate in a litter box or outside. And so what they're saying to us is to ensure we raise our boys in the same degraded way. But the impact of that is that our girls will accept men that are that way. So we are not to be housebroken, and we must fight against that. Also, for our men in the media, we see that they're portrayed as weak or poor in their manners and attitude, or very violent and abusive. And this is all very deliberate, because it ensures that women turn from men. It makes women believe that they want male security more than love, that they want principle more than honorable behavior from men. And the critical theorist goes on to say his anger, this is the anger of men, and the shame of being belittled by women, he puts the gun in the hands of his son to fight on his behalf. So it's saying that because men are feeling ashamed by the pressures that women are putting on them, not recognizing our men as men, turns them into, angers them and belittles them, and they put this upon our boys. And so we need to be aware of us women, how we work with our black men. And I know Brother Andrew says it all the time, black men, they're not all perfect. We as women are not all perfect, but there's a bigger agenda that can cause our continued destruction if we don't look out. So with our men reduced to nothing more than social servitude, what do we as women do? So here again is what the critical theorists say. A woman must, however, be conditioned to accept the transition to reality when it comes, or sooner. And they describe women as living only in our emotions, so not using any reason at all. So they play on that. They say that as women, we only focus on our children in the now. We never focus on our children for the future. So that's how they look at us. So to remember, they'll be engineering that within us, but we've got to be conscious of how they see us. They say as the family disintegrates, women then, particularly single mothers, return to the education system to fill that gap. And later on, I will do a session on education and how that actually is having a big impact. It talks about us as mothers now that we work, how we orphan our children to the system and detach more and more from raising them in our values and our principles and our history and our heritage, because we are kept so busy. And they go on to say, as we as women, we believe that we should do it on our own, because we believe that our men are not educated enough, that we believe our men are not aspirational enough, we believe our men are not making enough, and we believe that our men are just not man enough. And in so doing that, sisters, if we start to believe that and act on that, what we're doing, we are putting that upon our boys, and then we're also putting it upon our girls, and the circle continues. So Aristotle actually says, give me a child until he's 7 and I will show you the man. The question is, what is the man that we will see after Aristotle has had that child for 7 years? And we know, as I said earlier, this whole movement was pre-planned. So they've had our men and our boys and our children and us as women for generations, for hundreds of years. So I hope we are all recognizing how important it is that we fully understand what is being said about us and about society in general, and that engineering, and how important it is to prepare and open our children up to what free will is. And I'm an educator. So even as educators, and there might be some counselors and therapists out there, we are trained in the European way. And it's going to be difficult to unlearn what we have trained into doing. But the mere fact that we're aware and conscious of it, that realization in itself will impact on how we engage with young people. And so we need to, just as our forebears would pray to the god before they would slaughter an animal for food, we must do the same so that we're not sending young people to the slaughter. We must go into our young people with the force of the ancestors and our history behind us, so that we do not cause them any harm. And that we ourselves need to continue to be reading and learning about our own African unconsciousness, because the more we learn, the more we are able to heal, and the more we're able to deal with what has been put upon us. And we also know, educators that are on the platform today, that sometimes the best teacher is a teacher that is in the system, that does that infiltration within the system, knows its impact and its dangers, but yet works with it to make that change. And we need to find ways to navigate that system. So critical theorists, keep referring to them because I want us to be clear that we know that term. They are in league with their elite followers on a mission that, like I said, have been going on now for hundreds of years, since the time of Greek philosophy, of logic, absolute and devoid of any lessons that can be learned from nature. And anybody who's heard my session on trees will know that power of nature as the best educator. So we need to get in touch with nature, with the universe, and with our inner voice, because our inner gut knows the truth. And because we're in a state where it's a way of thinking that is not our own, a way of loving that is not our own, a way of living in that is not of our own, and we're in that spirituality that is not of our own, and we need to get back to that, because the critical theory says from the same conference speech, human beings are machines, levers which may be grasped and turned. And there is little real difference between automating a society and automating a shoe factory. So you can see where just slaves on a factory line, as far as Western ideology is moving on to. So there's a mission, and their mission spares no one. They will use their own and lose them in collateral damage. So where do we stand in this? So now, if this is the way they are treating their own, can we expect any better? To secure the draft, individual brainwashing or programming and the family unit and the peer group must be engaged and brought under control. I'm saying we need to make sure that we are bringing them under our own African consciousness control. So we need to understand and not just unlearn what we have learned, as Brother Andrew says, but to undo what we have become and to create ourselves in the likeness of God. So it's a big mission that we're on. We need to be sure that we are clear that critical theorists are scientists who do and have been manipulating this thinking for generations. And I would say when epigenetics first became on the scene in the late 1900s, that it was already thought about. It was already there at that time, and that cultivation continues. So we need to get woke. We need to stay woke. And I just want you to watch this clip here.
Truman? Honey, are you okay?
Get in.
Truman?
Look.
What? What?
I predict that in just a moment, we will see a lady on a red bike, followed by a man with flowers, and a Volkswagen Beetle with a dented fender.
Truman, please.
Look. Lady. Flowers. And...
Truman, this is silly.
There it is! There it is! There's the dented beetle! Yes! Woo! Don't you want to know how I did that? I'll tell you. They're on a loop. They go around the block. They come back. They go around again. They just go round and round. Round and round.
You know, I invited Rita and Marlon for a barbecue on Sunday. I'm going to make my potato
Sunday.
salad, and I need you to remind me that we need more charcoal.
Are you listening to a word I'm saying?
You're upset because you want to go to Fiji, is that it? Okay. Okay, go. I think you should save for a few months and then go. There. You happy now? I'm gonna go take a shower.
Let's go now. I'm ready to go now. Why wait? Early bird gathers no moss. Rolling stone catches the worm, right?
What are you doing? Truman!
Where shall we go? Where shall we go?
Truman, where are we
I
going?
don't really know. I guess I'm being spontaneous. Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous!
Truman!
Forget Fiji. Can't very well drive to Fiji, can we? What about Atlantic City?
Oh, no, you hate to gamble.
That's right, I do, don't I?
So why would you want to go there?
Because I never have. That's why people go places, isn't it?
Truman? Truman, I think I'm gonna throw up.
Me too! Locked at every turn. Beautifully synchronized, don't you agree?
You're blaming me for the traffic?
Should I?
Truman, let's go home.
You're right. We could be stuck here for hours. It could be like this all the way to Atlantic City. Let's go back. I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me.
Can you please slow down?
Yes, I can.
Truman, that's our turn off.
I changed my mind. What's New Orleans like this time of year? Mardi Gras! Look, Beryl. Same road. No cars. It's magic.
You let me out, Truman. You're not right in the head. You want to destroy yourself, you do it on your own.
I think I'd like a little company.
So, family, if you have not seen this film,
No, sister, you're being naughty tonight. What the backside are you dropping Truman Show? Oh, sister, this is off limits, man. This is off limits. This is a gangster movie you're dropping tonight. Oh my God. You know we're gonna have to do a hidden truth on this one alone.
yes.
Teach. Time is nearly up, sister, but carry on, man, because people are gonna kill me if I stop you right now. That was bad.
So thank you, Brother Andrew. So yes, if you haven't seen the Truman Show and really watched and listened to the Truman Show, it's time to do so now. And everything is summed up right there. He got woke. He saw that he was in a loop. He saw that when he awoke and set himself free, obstacles came in from every direction. And it was very subtle because the woman is his wife, and he's not yet certain whether she's a part of it or not. And that is where truth wrapped up with lies really can be very, very difficult for us. And so we need a spiritual revolution to start and to grow out from with us. And to be woke is not something to talk about, it's something to do. It's something we are, and it's something we become. Spiritual revolution is a state of being. And a phrase I always use with young people is, we are motivated to be great, but we are not motivated to become great. And I'm using it here to say we are motivated to be woke, but we are not motivated to become woke. One is a wish and one is an action. And where we are motivated to become woke, but lack motivation to stay woke. So we got to look at it. So it's not something we want to do, it's something we have to be. And when we become it, we need to keep it going. And
Sister Lady Adele, I'm going to have to jump in. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters. Now, what I'm going to try, Lady Adele, you are, I don't know what you've done. Brothers and sisters, what can I say? Shut the front door. That's all I'm going to say to you, Lady Adele. I mean, sister, Professor Kabar, he's due to come on the platform any moment. But what we're going to do, Lady Adele, brothers and sisters, I'm so sorry. I know I'm the most hated man in town right now. Lady Adele, you're going places where you know you shouldn't go, sister. You know what I mean? You shouldn't be going these places.
Robert, and it's exactly where I need to go, or we need to go as a family.
My God, Lady Adele. I mean, Truman Show, spiritual revolution. Listen, brothers and sisters, look, Lady Adele, what I'm going to try, I want to try and give you a little bit more time tonight. I'm going to try and give you a little bit more time tonight. Don't rush it, sister, please. I don't want you to rush it. I'm going to try and give you a little bit more time. What I'm going to do is going to do the quick notices right now. And brothers and sisters, brothers, talk to me, because I remember I can't see you. We've got over 400 of you on the platform on laptops. Over 400. Who would like to see Lady Adele have a bit more time? Let me know, because I know many of you are cussing my shut the front door, man. Who's feeling Lady Adele? I'm going to say this. Finish off this for me. Ja. Put it down if you know what I'm feeling. Ja. Let me know the rest of it, man. Let me know the rest of it. Lady Adele, you've been very naughty tonight, sister. Very naughty. You've gone places where you should not be going tonight. If you can stop the share screen, sister, what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly do the notices. And if we can get a little bit more time before Professor Kabar comes on.
I think, Brother Andrew, that's a good place to stop, actually.
Okay.
Because I'm going to move into something slightly differently. Rather than me moving into spiritual revolution and stopping it there, that's an ideal place to stop and start next week, as long as the family is happy with that.
People are texting my phone. Sister Claudia Mohammed, I see your texts, beloved. Yeah, I know, sister. I'm sorry, beloved. Sister Dr. Elaine, are you still there? Dr. Elaine, are you still there? Because
yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Sister, did you feel that? Did you feel that?
Thank you. Yes, I just sent Sister Lady Maat a message. We are so on the same wavelength and page. Yes. Our spiritual revolution is what will protect us. Yeah. When we know the truth of who and what we are and be it and express it as our ancestors knew that truth, nothing can stop us, nothing can harm us. Absolutely. It can harm us physically, potentially, yes, but with our minds, when we, oh gosh, I'm so excited. When we reflect and express the divine faculties that we have, this is our weapon of power and protection. That is the truth.
Brothers and sisters, who would love to see? I'm not going to jump the gun here, because I know. Thank you, Sister Angela says, I forgive you, Brother Andrew. Thank you, Sister Angela, because I know I'm hated now. Brothers and sisters, who would love to see a double whammy with Dr. Elaine Ferguson and Lady Adele on one show at one time? Put down Sani Banani. If you see me, because I'm feeling it tonight, I'm a bit naughty. Let me know whether you'd like to see a joint 1-2, just two sisters, no other guests. Dr. Elaine Ferguson dropping bombs with Lady Adele. London meets Chicago night.
It'd be my honor, my supreme honor.
Dr. Elaine, brother, sister, look at the chat line. It's on fire. I shouldn't have asked that question. I'm a bit naughty tonight. Jeez, you don't know every single time. Brothers and sisters, let's quickly get through some of these notices. Thank you, Dr. Elaine. Thank you, Lady Maat. Let's see if we can get through some of these notices. Brothers and sisters, we're still waiting for Brother Kabar to come on tonight. I've spoken to him. He's on form tonight. Sister Dawn Pell, you know it's love, my queen. My phone is blowing up right now. My phone is blowing up. Okay, brothers and sisters,